Lightsabers.
Phasers.
Phasers?
Yeah.
A phaser's like a weak blaster. There are two stars in this room, Rich Trenholm and myself, Luke Westaway, but there are also two stars in the geek canon, Trek and Wars. But which is better? I prefer Star Wars, Rich prefers Star Trek. Why is that, Rich? Why?
Well, it's obvious. It's Star Trek is a utopian vision of the potential of humanity. What we all have to look forward to if we can all just learn to get along. Except with the Klingons, we don't like them.
That sounds pleasant as an idea. It sounds like boring television.
It's great television. Oh, honestly, it's great television. I mean, let's face it, there's a whole universe full of terrors and scary things and exciting things and new planets to explore and alien women to try and make love to and just all this exciting stuff that's happening all across the galaxy.
Yep.
And what's the first thing you do when you encounter these things? You have a meeting.
Have a meeting.
And who doesn't want to have a meeting?
I'll tell you who doesn't want to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
Right.
In fact, Han Solo has a meeting in A New Hope, and in that meeting, there's an argument, and someone gets shot to death.
Honestly, I'd say
that's better. That's more exciting.
Well, it depends if you're the person who made the agenda or not, because frankly, that kind of thing going off the minutes is just not acceptable.
I know that sort of popularity isn't everything, but in this sort of Star Trek versus Star Wars thing, and I think I would say, like, just in case anyone's really frothing at the mouth, we do both love both, but we just have our preferences.
I just hate him.
What I would
instinctively disagree with him.
What I would say.
Yeah.
Is that if you look at the popularity of both franchises, I think it's fairly clear that Star Wars is more enduringly popular, despite being...
How can it be more enduringly popular? When did Star Wars start? 1977. Where did Star Trek start? 1966.
And when did Star Trek actually become popular? Not when it originally aired, only when it was sort of repeated on the TV ad nauseum. So children sat at home with nothing else to watch because Star Wars had finished at the cinema. We're like, well, I guess this is a bit like Star Wars, I suppose. They are in space, so it'll have to do. And that's what Star Trek is. It's the have to do of Star Wars.
Let's look at the quality of the quality of robots.
Okay,
right?
fine. Bring it on.
Look at the droids in Star Wars. Yep. C-3PO, a kind of fussy golden butler, and a little tiny walking trash can that doesn't even talk properly, right? And then you've got Data.
Data doesn't talk properly.
All-powerful robot who can just do anything. I don't really understand actually why the rest of them are there. It should just be Data just flying around on his own, sorting out problems. I don't really understand why he even needs a spaceship or that kind of thing. But anyway.
An all-powerful robot who can do things on his own. That's Data.
Yeah.
And like again, it's like the utopian society. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but like it's not much fun to watch. You've got C-3PO.
Utopia's cool, kids.
Utopia is fun, and it's not much of an adventure, is it? It's not like the conflict between good and evil that resides within every one of us. But like, so C-3PO and R2-D2 are perhaps the greatest on-screen robots ever. Yes, they are. I just ran through the data banks, and yes, they are. So C-3PO is great because he provides light comic relief without being annoying, and he always looks like he's about to fall over, which is brilliant. R2-D2 is extremely lovable. He was like, when I was a kid, he was my favourite. You know, he's plucky and cool, and he does that without saying any words, but with just sort of whistles and boops and things. He's extremely practical. You admire R2-D2 immensely. Plus, he gets to have his head outside of the spaceship. When they're going through space, he's got the best view. All right, lightsabers.
Phasers.
Phasers?
Yeah.
A phaser's like a weak blaster. A phaser is a thing
You can dial it up. That's why they say phasers on stun. You can dial it up and dial it down.
Oh, good. Again, like useful, practical things, boring to watch. Like, oh, good. I hope they put them on stun. Here we go. All the faces are on stun. Can't wait to see everyone get stunned.
All right, let's talk baddies then. We've got the Borg, the Klingons, the Romulans, the Cardassians. It's brilliant. The baddies are fantastic. The Borg are an incredible enemy.
You've got me there. I wish Star Wars had a really iconic bad guy who I could sort of pull out my sleeve at this moment, but I don't think there is one. I'm just thinking. Is there any?
Nope, just the Borg. Just the Borg. That's it.
Yeah,
Resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile.
Don't bother even thinking about it.
Star Trek has good bad guys. Okay, let me ask you: where would you rather have lunch, Star Trek or Star Wars? In the canteen, Star Trek, which is nice, but it's effectively like eating lunch in the office. It's always going to be.
But you can have whatever you want. You turn on you go up to the replicator and you say, "I'll have roast dinner, please, all the trimmings." It's a wonder they're all so thin.
What about the queue behind you up to the replicator, where everyone's like, "Oh, he's ordered roast dinner. It's going to take a while to print out." No, it's fine. I'm not hungry. You go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. Has he printed all the potatoes? Oh, unbelievable. They're out of potatoes again.
Out of potatoes. He's printed them all.
I'll just have soup then. Just print me some soup.
I'll have whatever's left. Thanks. But then again, if you go to have lunch in Star Wars, you're probably going to be in the cantina. Again, you're going to have your arms cut off.
Which you don't need.
Which is not ideal.
No.
So
Maybe you're in Jabba the Hutt's palace. He drops you through a hole in the floor just because you said he looked like a big slug.
Yeah, which, I mean, he does look like a big
He does like
he doesn't look like a big slug. I mean, he sort of is a big slug. All right, so at the end of this argument,
Yeah.
have I convinced you, or have I made you think any higher of Star Wars?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I could think any lower of Star Wars, so I think you've done a pretty good job. I quite like the way I didn't have to say very much, and you just eventually start arguing your way around and start going, well, actually, Star Trek's really good.
So, yeah. Well, no, okay. So my conclusion is Star Wars is more exciting. Star Trek is probably on the whole sort of like a better geek culture thing because it's more complete and it's easier to imagine yourself in because it's a little bit mundane, just like real life. That's my final position.
That's true. That's true. I think that makes sense.
We agreed?
Yeah, I think we're
Shake
agreed.
hands. Okay, so we've come to terms, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned to CNET.